the voice of...
Good morning, Mr. and Mrs. America, and all ships at sea. This is your captain speaking, Mean Gene. Mean Gene. The following will be a test of the ship's whistle, the sonar alarm, the cable alarm, and the atomic attack alarm.
Live from Mount in the heart of Times Square, you're listening to Beach Talk Radio with Kim and Ed Ryan.
And a good morning, everybody, and welcome to Beach Talk Radio for Saturday, November the 1st, 2019. Another beautiful day on Fort Myers Beach. It's just lovely out here. The weather is perfect. The temperature is perfect. Nice little cool breeze. We invite you to come on down to Pete's Time Out and enjoy a lovely breakfast down here for another great day on the beach. Our Facebook Live feed is sponsored by Salty Dog Gallery and Gifts on Estero Boulevard, specializing in custom painted furniture and signs of all types. 14 years in business for Carla and the Salty Dog crew. We sure do hope you'll stop in and spend some of your hard-earned money with our friends at the Salty Dog. If you'd rather listen to the show, you can check us out on our own app. You can download it from the App Store, on iHeartRadio, on BeachTalkRadio.com, and wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. We also want to say hello to everybody that's tuned in on the Florida Podcast Network. And as you know, if you're listening and watching on Facebook and YouTube, you can always pop in some questions on the chat box right here on Facebook. So come on down to the beach or listen in or tune in and enjoy a breakfast down here. Our first guest on the show today is Jonathan Gunther. And Jonathan, thanks for coming on. We appreciate you coming down nice and early.
Thank you for having me.
Now, Jonathan, you live on Lagoon Road.
Correct.
And there's a lot of construction going on down by your house.
There is.
And there's actually some construction that's either about to start or started down your road.
They haven't started on my part of the subdivision yet. However, work commenced a couple of weeks ago in the neighborhood, so it's heading my way.
And
now.
That's part of the major construction project that's going on down Estero Boulevard. That's it's progressed quite a ways. I mean,
Correct.
Down here it's nice.
Yeah, it's a drainage project, basically for drainage of Estero Boulevard.
Now, there was somewhat of a controversy on your road because the construction needs to come down your road as a way to drain off the water that has an issue on Estero Boulevard, correct? It's a whole major water project going underneath in addition to the road construction.
Well, the drainage project isn't coming down my street. At least the part of the project that drains Estero Boulevard isn't coming down my street. That's coming down Tarpon and Redfish, and then running along Lagoon Road without falls into Buccaneer Lagoon. The project on my street is purportedly to take pressure off the Buccaneer Drive drainage system, which, according to the engineers, will be overloaded by the amount of water they're draining off of Estero Boulevard. The project, however, was sold to us as a neighborhood drainage project, but I've lived in Laguna Shores for 20 years, 5 years on Sand Dollar Court and 15 years on Lagoon Road, and we've never had any drainage issues. There is no standing water. Even if you go back a couple of years to Irma, when we had that tropical wave, and then Hurricane Irma afterwards, we got close to 40 inches of rain over a 2.5-3 week period. We didn't have any standing water.
Okay.
So there is no drainage issue in Laguna Shores to begin with. This really is a project just to drain Estero Boulevard. The project was brought to our attention, just prior to September 26th. We were given notice that there would be a September 26th meeting to inform the neighborhood of the upcoming project.
This year?
This year.
So you got your neighbors, and you had no idea that it was going to take place until September 26th? Okay.
Yeah, less than a month ago.
So then what happened?
Well, the meeting was held by Refresh Estero. Much of the neighborhood went. We were shown the plans with what they call the Grand Canal running down Tarpon and Redfish Drive from Estero Boulevard to dump water into the bay. And there's an adjunct drainage route that goes from Buccaneer Drive down Lagoon Road, where I live, that has an outfall at the bend on Lagoon Road. I didn't attend that meeting. My wife went. Many of our neighbors did. They asked many questions, kind of objected to having this drainage line run down our street, as we have no drainage issues. And at that meeting, we were told by a representative from Refresh Estero that our little section of the drainage project really wasn't necessary. And if we petitioned the 19 homeowners on our section of the street, and the majority of them opposed it, they would consider taking it off the table and just running with the major part of the project, which is the drainage from Estero Boulevard. So my wife organized a petition, put it together, got 13 of the 19 residents to sign. 2 were not interested. Their houses are up for sale, and they said they don't care.
Okay.
What happens.
Okay.
And the remainder of them were up north and unreachable. So, the vast majority of the homeowners is opposed to the project down our part of the street.
Did you given the impression that if you got the majority that the project wouldn't come through your road?
That was the impression that
From
we
who?
were given. Town council and Refresh Estero.
Who on the town council?
I wasn't.
Was it
at
a
that
town
meeting.
council member or?
Bruce Butcher was there. I'm not sure who else from the town council was there. I don't believe the mayor was there. But that was the impression that they were given at that meeting. And again, I did not attend that meeting, so I'm giving you information I got from my wife, basically. So at the next town council meeting, the project was brought up on the agenda, and they had representatives from Tetra Tech, who's the engineering firm that designed the drainage project there. And one of the engineers said it's absolutely not optional that failure to that adjunct drainage line down our section of Lagoon Road would cause 18 inches of water to build up on Buccaneer Drive, which is ridiculous. You can't put 18 inches of water anywhere on Laguna Shores and not have it run off immediately. It's flat, and it runs off to the bay. So after the Tetra Tech engineer made his presentation, the residents were not given the opportunity to comment, dispute, question anything that they said, and we were informed that the project was going to move along as planned. A lot of people think that we're just upset because they're going to tear up our street and our right-of-way and so on. And while that is mildly upsetting, if we have a true need for a drainage project, nobody's really going to oppose that. What I'm concerned about is, A, taxpayer dollars being wasted, B, the way this was presented to us as something to improve our neighborhood when really it's a way to drain Estero Boulevard. And it just doesn't seem to me that our town council has made an informed decision and been good shepherds of our taxpayer dollars in this instance. I'm also very concerned about the amount of drainage water from Estero Boulevard being dumped into Buccaneer Bay. Buccaneer Bay is a very small body of water that has one inlet. It is a tidal basin, but there's not a tremendous amount of flow in and out. So if they're planning on dumping hundreds of thousands to millions of gallons of water into it, it's got to have an impact on that body of water. And I can't see that it's going to be a positive impact. I mean, road drainage has petroleum residue in it from oil collected off the road by rainwater. I don't think that our council and Refresh Estero have really asked the hard questions coming into this project. Why, if they're draining Estero Boulevard and they have a ditch along the east side of Estero Boulevard that's rather treacherous actually and probably needs to be done away with, and that may very well be in the plans that are upcoming for redoing Estero Boulevard. Why dump all that water into a small enclosed body of water with limited flow like Buccaneer Bay when they could have run it along Estero Boulevard and dumped it into Big Carlos Pass, where a much greater volume of water passes through and is far more able to dilute it and move it along?
Well, what explanation were you given that that made this part of the project if it wasn't part of the original plan to finish the entire road, Estero Boulevard?
It may very well have been part of the original plan all along. It just wasn't brought to our attention until last month.
Okay.
Public works projects like this are in planning for years sometimes. So,
right.
The fact that they had this charade of a public hearing where they were looking for our input on September.
Why do you call it a
26th.
charade?
Well, when the project is planned, signed, and sealed, and work is starting in 2 weeks, do you really think that the residents are going to have any meaningful input as to the direction of the project? I don't think so.
What was the explanation you were given that made them think or made this project come through your neighborhood? What was the explanation that said it has to come through? I know they were talking about it being on one side of your street. You switched it to the other side of the street. That's not a major issue. It's still going to be done.
But
what?
Yeah, 6 of one, half
Yeah.
dozen.
What was the explanation you guys received?
There's been no explanation. It's just necessary to drain Estero Boulevard. But I think there's a better way to drain Estero Boulevard into the pass. And that water's got to go somewhere. But I don't think it needed to go into Buccaneer Bay, and that's where it's going.
There were some angry people that came to 2 council meetings that I think felt like they didn't have enough time to voice their opinion. Is that correct?
Oh, that's correct. And I think, basically we were given lip service. The whole petition thing, I think, was a charade. I think they knew darn well in advance that it didn't matter whether we got a majority of homeowners to sign a petition. They were going to do what they were going to do anyway. And that was just to, shut some people up at a meeting or, satisfy them for a week or two and take some heat off them. But,
Well, don't you think it's important to know who said if you get the majority of homeowners to sign a petition, are you under the impression that the project would not go through your neighborhood if you got a majority of the homeowners?
That was the impression that they were given at that meeting, yes.
So, don't you think it's important to know who put that out there?
Yeah, and, my wife could tell me.
All right. Well, I'll ask her.
I don't know the answer to that. Yeah.
So what's the next step here? What's going to happen? How, at the end of the day, will your neighborhood be okay?
Oh, sure. It's going to be inconvenient working around the construction project for a little bit. Some of my neighbors have lost some pretty nice mature trees that, they won't live long enough to see that restored, in their lifetime. When it's all said and done, aside from my concerns about the health of Buccaneer Bay, it's not going to have a lasting impact on the neighborhood. The lawns will be restored, the driveways will be fixed, the road will be patched, and quiet will be restored to the neighborhood again at some point. But I just don't like the way the whole thing went down.
What could have been better? What could have been done better?
Why didn't they tell us a year ago that this was coming, when we may have had the ability to have some impact, when we may have been able to ask and have somebody look at whether or not running the drainage down Estero Boulevard rather than through our neighborhood and into Buccaneer Bay was a possibility. I just think that I don't want to say our town council is, lazy or stupid or corrupt or anything. I'm not in a position to say that, but I'm not in a position to say they aren't either. In this case, I don't think there was a lot of due diligence done as to what is the best way to spend tax dollars and what is the best way to protect the environment that we have. We live in a special place here. It's delicate and sensitive. And Buccaneer Bay is more delicate and sensitive than a lot of areas, certainly more than Estero Bay, certainly more than the Gulf of Mexico is, just by virtue of the volume of water involved.
How are the neighbors feeling overall?
Extremely pissed. Pretty much everybody who signed the petition feels like, they were just blindsided and lied to. So there's some anger there.
Why? How long have you lived here?
20 years.
Why do you love Fort Myers Beach? Why do you love living here?
It's like, Well,
all that other stuff aside.
I'm not retired. I work full time still, at least for a little while, and it just feels like I work in Naples every day. When I come home, it feels like I'm going on vacation every day.
Right.
When I come back, I just like the area. I like the beach. I think I liked it better before some of the upcoming projects.
Okay, what do you mean by that?
Well, one of the things that attracted us to Fort Myers Beach was the small town kind of almost shabby feel that it had, and I think some of these upcoming hotel projects are spoiling that a little bit. It's becoming a little too corporate. If I wanted to live in Fort Lauderdale, I'd move to Fort Lauderdale.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that we need those sort of big projects on a little island like this.
Do you know more than one? There's one coming up that I'm very well aware of.
That's the one I'm talking about.
Don't you think something needs to be done in that part of the island over there to beautify it a little bit? It's been really slummy.
I agree.
For a long time.
But there are ways of doing that without, selling out to a major developer and adding the number of rooms that they're adding, which is just going to increase the traffic problems that we have on the island and really change the complexion of the beach. I mean, they don't seem to be averse to spending tax dollars. Why not offer some tax incentives to current property owners to improve their properties, or some business incentives to bring some new small businesses in rather than big corporate entities that, honestly, I don't think care about the local island. It's a money-making proposition for them, and that's it.
So what attracted to you to the beach 20 years ago?
I just like the area. I'm a boater and a diver, and I've lived on the water for the past 40 years.
What do you mean you're a diver?
Scuba diver.
Around here?
Well, I do occasionally around here.
What do you find around here?
I'm just a look-see diver.
Yeah.
I'm not a spear fisherman or anything.
Does that mean
like
with the snorkels, or would you get all...
Scuba.
Oh, all right.
Scuba gear. Yeah. There are a number of decent dive sites. There's Blue Hole off Captiva. There's, the Edison Reef, even though it's just concrete rubble, is interesting. I haven't dove since the red tide outbreak last year, so I'm not sure if the fish have all returned. But, there are live corals there, lots of tropical fish. It just makes for an interesting dive.
Where's the best place you've ever gone diving?
The best place ever? I know it's hard to say because...
reel off some of the places you've been diving that are
I've
outside of here.
Off Key Largo, off Key West, Cozumel.
Wow.
Off Englewood and Venice. I'm not a hardcore dive every weekend kind of guy, but it's my escape every once in a while.
Ever get close to a shark while you're diving?
Many times. Yeah.
What's that like? Scary, or
I don't find it scary.
As long as you don't mess with them, they don't.
The only time I ever got a little bit nervous around a shark was in diving in the Florida Keys. I was on Molasses Reef, and a school of bull sharks came through. And bull sharks are one of the more aggressive species. And these were big boys, probably 10, 12 footers.
How many?
And, half a dozen at least.
We're swimming right around you.
I could have reached out and touched them.
I'm sorry, I would have shit my britches right there. I mean, how did you not?
Again, you don't bother them. Usually they don't bother you.
They don't look at you like...
The thing with most shark attacks are in surf where visibility is bad, and at dawn or dusk when visibility is bad and sharks are feeding. By and large, they leave you alone. I find it exciting to see them.
Do you go with a group, or do you go by yourself with your wife? Or?
I always dive with at least a partner. My wife doesn't dive.
Yeah. So when you're out fishing, biggest fish you've ever caught?
Well, I caught a Goliath grouper one time, but I wasn't able to land it, so
that doesn't
don't
count.
Really
then
have a good measurement.
What is a Goliath grouper, by the way?
A Goliath grouper.
How big do they get?
Some of them underwater. Some of them look as big as Volkswagen Beetles, but they're not.
Wow.
Quite that big. They'll go 600-700.
What do you use for bait to try and catch a Goliath grouper?
In that case, I think it was a lane snapper I had on.
No idea what that is.
Yeah.
A lane snapper?
Yeah, it's a little 12, 14-inch snapper.
Nice. So you have your own boat and everything?
I do.
What did you think of the boat races?
I was unable to attend them, unfortunately. I do like boat races.
Yeah.
I wasn't able to go this year.
So how do you think the water's doing this summer? Or coming up to the fall now?
This past summer was pretty good. I'm a little concerned about the resurgence of some red tide around, although having lived in Florida since 1976, I know that red tide is a common occurrence. It happens naturally. It's not a new thing, and I don't think it's worthy of the panic that the local news would have you believe.
Right. It just seems like Wink is assigned to come out here every weekend and even claim there's red tide when there's not. The only thing you can smell now is bacon.
Right.
Can't smell anything other than good smelling food.
Yep. Exactly.
So anything else? I mean, you brought up the Estero Boulevard, and it seems like the town is really working on sidewalks, and they're going to redo. I don't know if you saw any of the videos. They're going to redo Times Square, so they're working hard to upgrade everything. I mean, certainly needs a facelift.
And I think that's great. I'm not opposed to spending public money on improvements. Mm-hmm. I'm really not. I'm opposed to wasting public money on unnecessary projects, and I think what they're doing in our neighborhood, at least half of it is unnecessary.
Right. Now, when that whole thing is said and done, it really is going to be awesome for the beach. I mean, it seems like there's always some trouble with the bricks in the middle, but the road is every weekend it looks like it's nicer.
Yeah. I mean, aside from living with this project and that inconvenience for a number of years, it's definitely an improvement and something that was badly needed, especially at the north end of the island here.
Right.
I've lived at the south end of the island my whole time on Fort Myers Beach, and we don't really have the drainage issues there that you have at this end. We're a little higher elevation, and things just naturally drain better, I guess. But it's certainly a big improvement at this end, and I understand the need for doing it.
Now, I know there are rules at the council meeting, and you guys were all a bunch of you were up there from. Well, the first time I watched the meeting it was quite disruptive, and you couldn't really see it on screen. But I understand it got somebody got vulgar in the background when they were walking. One of the neighbors was really upset.
Yep.
And I think it was because they didn't understand you only have 3 minutes each to talk to the council. Right. Otherwise, there'd be filibustering, and those meetings would go on forever. Right. So you don't have a 3-minute time limit, but so if you had a chance to say something to the council about what went down in your neighborhood now, what would you say to them?
I think I'd say to them, why wasn't this brought to our attention, a year ago or whenever the project inception was, so that we could have a voice in the planning and maybe steer it in a slightly different direction than it is right now. I mean, my biggest concern, the inconvenience in the construction, that's temporary. That'll be gone in a few weeks, and and a distant memory, but I am really concerned about the health of the bay. I mean, we have we have manatees daily, we have dolphins in and out constantly all the time, we have juvenile fish stocks in the bay, schools of mullet. I see tarpon and even cobia swimming around in Buccaneer Bay, which is highly unusual inshore. And I'm just concerned about the health of that water. That's what I look out at every day, and I'm very fond of it, and I want to protect it.
So your concern is that now that once the construction is all done, that Estero Boulevard is going to drain into the bay,
right?
And so, have you addressed? That's a completely different issue than what you guys brought up for the neighborhood. What is being done, or what are you being told to assure that's not going to happen, or it's going to stay clean?
Nothing. Nothing. They have sediment boxes installed in the drainage system, but that doesn't filter out any, pollutants that come with the water. So I don't know. I mean, we're going to get whatever oil's on Estero Boulevard, whatever pesticides are on the lawns along Estero Boulevard, and whatever fertilizer is on those lawns, and it's going to dump right into the bay. It can't do anything but have a negative effect on it, in my opinion.
What's the alternative? Where could it be sent?
Well, as I said before, I don't see why, when they're doing a major project, as they're in the midst of, and getting close to the south end of the island there, why those drainage pipes couldn't run parallel down Estero Boulevard and dump into the pass.
Got you. Any final words you want to share with the audience and with your neighbors and with the council? Anything?
I think I've probably bored them enough.
No, we appreciate you coming on, and it was definitely an interesting issue, and I know the council members were concerned about the whole thing, and doing the best they can. And I at least that's what it looked like to me watching it on TV.
Not the impression I got, but.
When does the construction start? Is it underway now?
It's underway now in the neighborhood, yeah. I think they'll be probably in front of my house in 2 or 3 weeks. So.
And it'll take how long overall?
Well, they said originally a year, but I can't imagine that it's going to take that long. I mean,
a year just on your road?
Yeah, in our neighborhood.
Okay.
But I can't imagine that it'll take that long.
Okay.
I mean, if they're not done with it in 2 or 3 months, something's wrong.
Are they going to be able to save any of the trees, or are they all just too big? And
Actually, I was pleasantly surprised to see that they've worked with trying to go around some of the trees where they can. So they're not able to save all of them, but at least saving some of them is a win.
Some of those trees, those 20, 25-year-old trees, can be a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
I mean, I had 2 of them around our house, and they ruined our driveway, and they're coming under our back lanai.
Yeah, a lot of it's palm trees.
Oh,
a lot of it's royal palms and Christmas palm clusters and that sort of thing. And those could easily be saved.
Sure.
I mean, it's expensive for the homeowner to do it, but they've got heavy equipment project. There's no reason they can't chain them up, pluck them out of the ground by the root ball and stick them back in afterwards. But that doesn't seem to be happening.
Gotcha. Well, Jonathan, thanks so much for coming down. I appreciate it, and good luck in your hood, and hope you had enough time to share your thoughts.
Yep. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you for
Take care and good
it.
luck. All right.
Yep.
Jonathan from, I want to make sure I say it's Lagoon, not Buccaneer. It's Buccaneer Bay, but Lagoon Road, right? Lagoon Road. All right. Thanks a lot, Jonathan Gunther. Have a great weekend. Enjoy this fabulous weather. And if you go out diving, have a great time. Not this weekend. All right, everybody. Coming up later on in the show, we're going to place a phone call to Stephen Ray McDonald. Stephen is raising money come on over. Stephen is raising money for the Arches, and the Arches are going to be put, I think, so far at Crescent Park. But we have our friends. Where are you guys from again? Minnesota?
Yeah.
Our friends from Minnesota are down here again, and so we're going to put them on. Come on, have a seat. Look into the camera there. Hold on. Make sure your microphone's on. Hold. Take this one. Take that one.
Okay.
All right. There we go. We're all on now. Say hello to everybody.
Hello.
All right, you see her look into the camera there.
Okay.
Here we are. So you guys are only supposed to be here until Thursday, right?
Yeah, we were supposed to be here till Thursday, but now we're going to leave today.
Oh, you're leaving today?
I'm still 4.
You're still 4. Last time you were here, you were 4, and you're still 4 now. What happened?
Our birthday's in November.
Oh, that's this month. November what?
Yep. His is 11th. Mine's 25th. So his
11th
is
and 25th. Okay, so you're not twins then, right?
Right, we're not twins.
All right. You look kind of like your brothers.
Right.
Yeah.
But
What?
we are at the Best Western right now.
How do you like it there?
Good.
Yeah. Nice pool there, right?
Yeah.
Getting a nice view? Did your
Yeah.
dad get you a nice view so you can see over the water?
We're in the same spot as we were at last time.
Yeah, same
It's
room?
a nice view.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what'd you guys do that was fun down here so far?
We have...
You went everywhere. You went
Yeah.
everywhere to eat, right?
Yeah.
You went to the cottage. You went to, where else?
Can you... we went to Doc Ford's.
What?
Can you hear me in
I can hear you in my
We went
headphones,
to
yeah.
Doc
Yeah.
Ford's.
Doc Ford's.
We've been here already.
Yeah, Pete's Time Out. Yeah, where else?
The Whale.
The Whale.
Dixie Fish.
Dixie Fish, yeah. You're going to need to go on a diet when you get home or something. Do you feel?
Look at that big dog right there.
Yeah, this very dog friendly here. Yeah, you got dogs at home?
Yeah.
What kind of dogs you have?
We only have one dog.
One dog?
Yeah, her name is called Bella.
Bella? Yeah.
Yeah.
What kind of dog is it?
I don't know.
You don't know?
It's a big one.
It's a big dog. Yeah, okay.
That one is just
Is it as
bigger
big
than
as that
ours.
dog back there or not that big? No.
Kind of.
Did you guys get dressed up for Halloween?
No.
Why not?
Stay here for Halloween, I think.
What?
We are shopping.
What?
We're probably gonna get a toy plane at the airport because we're gonna go home at the middle of the night.
Okay, so that means you're going to get a toy plane?
Yeah.
What's that? I don't understand
I know
that.
a toy plane, it looks like United or something.
Yeah.
Like a plane that you ride. It looks like it, but it's a toy.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get Southwest.
Oh, you're going on Southwest and
No, we ride Sun Country. He's saying he's
Sun
gonna
Country.
get a toy
Okay.
one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Where you get it from? On the beach or at the airport?
The airport.
You know, they charge you twice as much as at the airport. Did you know that?
Oh.
No.
I didn't know that.
They do, because they got you. They got what?
We came here in the middle of we went to the airport in the middle of the night, and we're going to the airport in the middle of the
I
night.
think they call that like a red eye or something,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. So it's back to Minnesota, huh?
Yep.
And when are you guys coming back again?
Soon.
Soon.
Probably.
You're not really sure when.
Right.
So why did you decide to stay longer?
Do you know
What-
Sam?
Sam? I don't know if I know. Is Sam a person or a dog?
It's a person.
Okay, what does Sam do?
She
You know, your
works for a
friends in
restaurant.
Minnesota won't be able to hear you if you don't talk into the microphone. You have to talk into the microphone like your brother.
It's a her.
Okay, Sam is a her?
Yeah.
Where is Sam?
She's in Minnesota.
Oh, is
It's
that
his
one of your...
girlfriend.
Oh, you have a
It's
girlfriend.
an adult. She works at a restaurant. Yeah, she works at Kelly's.
She works at Kelly's, but
Yeah.
you're only 4 years old.
Yeah.
Are you Bruce? All right. Well, we're just filling time here with the kids. So our next guest is here. So we need to hear more about your girlfriend before you leave. So
Right.
go back and eat breakfast. And then after I'm done with my next interview, come back and we need to hear about your girlfriend.
All right.
All right.
We already ate breakfast.
Oh, you
but-
did? Well, you're not leaving, are you? You were going to leave? All right. Well, you need to tell our audience about your girlfriend then. How old is she?
I don't know.
You don't know how old she is?
Maybe in the 30s.
She's in her 30s?
Probably.
All right.
Yeah.
I like older women. That's nice.
Tell her
Yeah.
how older she is.
What?
Tell her how older she is.
She's older than you, way older than you. Yeah. Okay.
way older.
So she must be pretty. Yeah. All right. Well, I'll let you guys go. Dad's looking over at us to make sure I don't do anything stupid, I'm sure.
All right. Yeah.
All right. Well, you guys went to all the good places.
When he's done, can we come back over?
If you're still over there
And
when
we
we're
went
done,
to
you
the
can come back
bubble
over.
room.
Oh, the bubble
Okay.
room. Did you
Yeah.
get a bubble bath at the bubble room?
Um,
No, I'm just kidding. They don't do that there. I'm just being silly. All right, guys. So let me have
All
a
right.
chat with Bruce, and you guys
right.
go back and hang out with your. Is that your sister in the? All
my
right.
sister.
How old is your sister?
She is 1 year old.
1. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right, you guys. When you come back, I'll let you try them, but I have to interview
All right.
Bruce here because he's got something
Bye.
really special coming on.
We'll be back.
Just yeah, I remember that from last time. Hey, Bruce, come on, have a seat. Have a seat, Bruce. I want to make sure. Let me make sure I get the. I love having those kids on. They come down a couple times a year, and they're great visitors of Fort Myers Beach from Minnesota, and they spend an entire week here, and they go to all our favorite places like Doc Ford's and the Whale and Shuckers and here, and spend a lot of money here.
They're good boys.
Yeah, yeah. So Bruce Schneider,
Shiner, like the black guy.
Shiner. Okay, Bruce, you have something. Well, you live on the beach. Let's talk about that first.
No, I live in Iona.
Oh, you live in Iona. I thought.
Yeah.
Do you have family that lives on the beach?
No.
Okay. Well, then what are you doing on the beach? Come and interview with me.
Yeah, you invited me.
Oh, all right. So you have a really cool fundraiser coming on.
Yeah, we have our 4th annual Bruce L. Shiner charity poker tournament.
Cool. I know. Oh, that's how Lalo is a poker player. That's how you guys got connected. Did you see each other at the poker table somehow?
That's correct.
Where did you meet John?
Playing poker.
At the dog track or
Yeah,
in some seedy back room somewhere?
No, I stay away from seedy back rooms.
Now, you've been an attorney in town for how long?
48 years.
48 years. Wow. I mean, and you're a user of radio, right? You use radio for your
We do.
ads? Yeah.
We do.
Yeah, I remember hearing the radio ads, but you're consistently on the radio. You've been on there for years.
We're on the radio. We're on television. We have billboards. We like the public to know that we're out here to help them.
Awesome. So what's the purpose of the fundraiser, the March of Dimes? How'd you get involved in that?
Well, we're big supporters of motorcyclists.
Okay.
And it started out as a ride, Bikers for Babies,
How long ago was that?
about 5 years.
Okay.
And as part of Bikers for Babies, they're looking for ways to raise money. So since I play poker, I thought it would be good to have a charity poker tournament. So 4 years ago, we had our first charity poker tournament, and the racetrack's been great because they're not taking any money out of the proceeds
Nice.
for themselves.
So this is going to be at the dog. Well, I don't even know if you call it a dog track anymore, but where the dog track
They
was.
still call it a dog track, and I think they're running dogs one more season.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's gonna. When is the fundraiser going to be?
The fundraiser is a week from today, November 9th. We're having a little hors d'oeuvres starting at 4:30, and the tournament actually cards in the air at 5 o'clock.
Cards in the air. I don't know what that means, but that must be like the when the game starts.
It's when the game starts, when the horses start running.
Oh, what is the buy-in?
The buy-in is a total of $110, and out of that $110, $50 go to the March of Dimes, $50 goes to the prize pool, and $10 goes to the dealers.
Okay, awesome. So what do you anticipate the prize being?
The prize has been somewhere around $3,000.
Nice. And now, is it gin rummy or is it
It's good old Texas Hold'em.
Texas Hold'em? Okay, so that's like you get dealt 2 cards and then what? How does that work?
Okay. Before I tell you that, besides the prize pool, we have a lot of generous
Sponsors? Let us see
like
who they are.
Pete's Time Out.
Yeah.
He's contributing a gift certificate. One of the coolest prizes is our good sheriff, Carmine Marcino, has given us a certificate for people to go to the Lee County Range.
Wow.
And that's pretty cool because I was out there back, and they actually let you shoot machine guns. And,
Really?
Yeah.
No kidding. What was it like shooting a machine gun?
It was wild.
Yeah? Did it shoot you back a little bit when
It
you
shot me back a little bit, and I'm glad to say we're only shooting against the wall.
machine guns? Wow, like an AK-47 or some crazy thing. What was it? I mean, I don't know anything about guns, but
I don't know much about guns either. But
when he's like, when a guy says to, or somebody says to you, "Hey, here's a shotgun. Take a couple shots with it," where you're like, "Yeah."
yeah, wait till you take a couple of shots, and the recoil sends you backwards.
Well, that's cool. That's a nice price. So who else?
So we have some major restaurants that are giving dinners for two and just a lot of good things like that. And that's just pro bono. It's over and above the tournament.
How many people are you expecting to play?
Somewhere between 60 and 75 people.
Nice. And you were going to explain it.
Oh, yeah, we're going to explain Texas Hold'em. So it's an interesting game. It's you usually play with 9 people around the table and a dealer. And each person starts out with 2 cards down. You look at the 2 cards. If you like them, you bet.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't like them, you throw them in and wait to the next hand.
Okay.
After the 2 cards down and you bet, they turn 3 cards over. And those are like group cards. So everybody at your table gets to use those cards in addition to the 2 cards in your hand.
Awesome.
So then there's a total of 5 cards. That's called the flop. After the flop, again, you bet. And then those who are still in the hand, they turn the 4th card over, and that's called the turn card. You bet again, and then comes the last card, which is the river. So you end up with 2 cards in hand, 5 common cards, and after the river, you bet again, and whoever has the best hand wins.
Why do they call it the river?
I don't know. That's a good question. It's the last card, but
Because if you lose, cry me a river or something like that.
it could be.
So how big can one of the pots get?
Well, we play what's called no limit.
Oh, okay. That must mean like it can get pretty big.
Some pots could go as high as a couple $1,000s. That's very unusual. I'd say the average is between $100 to $500 in the pot.
Okay, that's not too crazy. I mean, it could be stressful, I imagine,
It could be.
when it gets too high. So are you a gambler?
I don't call myself a gambler.
Are you a player?
I'm a player.
You've been to Vegas to play cards?
Yeah, I love to go to Vegas.
Oh. What's your favorite hotel in Vegas?
The Wynn Hotel.
The Wynn? Yeah. Very nice. Very nice. So what's the biggest hand you've ever won?
You mean dollar-wise?
Yeah. Well, I don't mean fake chips-wise. Yeah.
last night it was an interesting hand. I was dealt 6-4 clubs.
6 what?
6 clubs and 4 clubs.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant 6-4 clubs. I was like, what deck of cards is that from? A 6 and a 4 clubs. All right, that doesn't sound strong.
Doesn't sound strong at all. And I was able to. Somebody only made a small bet, so I could stay in for $5.
Uh-huh.
And the flop comes, which is when you turn 3 cards over, and it came 6-4-4.
So you had a full house.
So I had a full house, and nobody would ever think of
a 4. Yeah.
somebody playing 6-4. So there was another guy who had an ace and a 4.
Mm-hmm.
And he thought he was golden because he had 3 4s plus an ace kicker. He thought,
yeah,
and
he got.
There was a couple of $1,000.
Oh, really? Wow. I'm sure that wasn't the biggest hand you've ever won, though. But that was just last night. Wow. Yeah. So you play on a regular basis, then, huh?
Yeah, I play usually once or twice a week.
So, what's the biggest hand you've ever lost? Nobody ever taught their losers.
Probably.
$1,500,000?
$600.
Oh, all right. You're not crazy with your money.
No, I'm very conservative. Everybody looks at me and they say, "Well, if Bruce is in the pot, I'm full."
So the March of Dimes. Let's talk about the March of Dimes. All about helping kids. The March of Dimes,
yes,
and
sir.
so it's really a cool organization. And you guys are going to raise a boatload of money.
We've been raising about $5,000 a year in this tournament.
Are you involved in other fundraisers for the March of Dimes throughout the year? Or is this the one that you get behind?
We used to be, and unfortunately, I still don't understand why. The Bikers for Babies portion of the March of Dimes, they've discontinued.
Mm-hmm.
So before this year, we would do helmet drives. Like we would get a team of maybe 20 people and go to an intersection. We could raise like $2,000-$3,000 in a day at an intersection.
Right.
We go to they have a chef's deal with the March of Dimes, and we go and participate with that.
And all the money stays local?
I think all the money goes to the main March of Dimes.
Okay, cool. And so again, next Saturday at the dog track, 4:30. What time should people be there, or do they need to pre-register?
Well, it's helpful to pre-register if you go to blscharity.com.
blscharity.com, okay.
You could pre-register, but it's not necessary. Anybody could go and just pay at the door.
Yeah, well, you're not worried that you're going to have to turn people away then?
Oh, no. We'll accommodate as many people as could come.
Okay, awesome. And can I get your card just in case I say something on the air that might get me in trouble? Just kidding. I promise not to do that anymore. So anything else you want to say about the fundraiser?
Just whoever plays poker.
Take care, guys. See you next time. Keep me posted when you're coming back. All right.
We encourage whoever has any interest to come out. You don't have to be a good poker player. It's more a lot of fun than it is a serious tournament. Everybody, please come and help the March of Dimes.
Is John a good player, or is he
His
lose
wife
more
beats
than?
the hell out of him.
Oh, no kidding. That's always good to know. Great. Now, is your son here? I know you said your son was going to come to.
Well, I talked to him after I talked to John, and he'd like to come on another.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and your son
Saturday.
is part of, or he was part of is he, or was he part of the Captains for Clean Water?
He's one of the founders.
Oh,
of
great.
Captains for Clean Water, and he's still on the board. As a matter of fact, last month they had their annual retreat in Sanibel, and they're doing tremendous things.
Great. Well, that'd be great if we can get him on. I've been trying to get somebody on from that organization for a while, and they're just so busy. It's hard to get them to come on. But I'd love to work with you now that I have a connection, a close connection.
Well, I'll either get BJ, who's my son, and or Danny, who's now in charge of Captains for Clean Water.
Great. That'd be great. We'd love to do that. Nothing, no bigger topic. Well, there might be one, but water's a really big one down here, as you know.
It's so important. As we mentioned earlier, I've been here for 48 years, and that's why we live in Southwest
Florida.
Right,
for the water.
I love to go paddleboarding, and when the red tide hits,
it's tough. Well, you're not really dressed for paddleboarding today, so what are you doing today? You going out maybe play a few hands of poker?
Probably this evening, but today I got to go to the office and
all right,
make sure things are
help some people out.
Right.
All right, Bruce. Well, thanks a lot for coming on, and good luck with the fundraiser. I have a feeling you might see my wife there. She loves to play Texas Hold'em. It's her favorite.
Please have her come up and say hello to me.
All right. Thanks a lot, and good luck next week with the fundraiser.
Okay. Thanks for having me on.
All right. Thanks a lot. All right, everybody. That's next Saturday at the dog track, so check it out online at BLS. I'll post all the information up there. Thanks again to Bruce for coming on. We really appreciate it. Before I forget, before I call Steven, we'll talk about the Arches. I want to remind everybody we do have sponsors, and today's show is being sponsored in part by FMB Designs, one of our longest sponsors. Owners Nikki and Ed are longtime beach residents and have been in the design and remodeling business for a very long time. We want you to check them out, whether you need a kitchen remodeled, a bathroom, your living area, the cabinets, even the she shed. We're going to see some pictures of the she shed really soon on our Facebook page. Nikki's been working hard on that. Anything that you need redone, you're going to check them out, FMB Designs. They're on Facebook. They have their own website, so you want to check them out, and they're always right over our show, too. And don't forget also that the Tiki Tours, the Fort Myers Beach Tiki Tours, coming up. And I talked to the guys yesterday. The boats should be ready around mid-November. So get ready for that. They have 2 boats that they're going to have down here. It's going to be a 90-minute tiki rides for up to 6 guests per boat. They have 2 boats for parties of 12. That'll cost $39.99 plus Florida tax. Sunsets will be $44.99. It's bring your own booze, bring your own food, bring your own stuff. And they're going to take you out on the water. We can't wait for those guys to come down here, and they're going to be down here, they say, in November-ish. So you can get them on the Facebook now and see some of the boats that they have in Buffalo right now, and they're going to be coming down. Oh, I bet you guys might be wondering where Kim is. I'll tell you that after the phone call, why she's not here, what that's all about. So you guys might have been reading about the Arches. Let me see if I can get Steve on the phone, if I have the right phone number here. Here we go. Steve Ray McDonald has been behind the organization Save the Arches for a very long time, and they got a letter from Cecil Pendergrass, the county commissioner, and Cecil this week was going to bring up a resolution with the county board to move the Arches over to Crescent Park, which you may know is owned by the county. And then we saw a letter. If you didn't see the letter to the editor yesterday, you might want to check it out in the news press, not in the sandpaper. And we're going to talk to Steven. You there?
Yeah, I am.
Hey, Ed Ryan here from Beach Talk Radio. How are you?
I'm doing good, Ed. How are you this morning?
Good. You're live on the air. You're live on the Facebook. I know people can't see you because you're not in Fort Myers, but we've had you on before, and we want to kind of get an update on how things are going and what's going on with the Arches. You got some great news from Cecil Pendergrass about the Arches being moved to Crescent Park. Tell us about that.
Well, we've had the plan to put them in the park for quite some time. What Cecil has done for us is bring a motion on the 5th of November in front of the Board of Commissioners to engineer, construct, fund, permit, and get the Arches done. Our group was committed to privately funding them and getting them done by ourselves, and the county was going to give that property to allow us to do that. But we certainly welcome Cecil's motion, and we hope that all our supporters will go down and tell the Board of Commissioners how they feel about it.
Now, for folks who don't really follow what's going on the beach that closely, there are certain parcels and pieces of the beach that are not owned by the town. They're still owned by the county. And Crescent Park, which is where the volleyball courts are, is one piece of property that's still owned by the county. There's also some parking. The county gets the revenue from the parking lots. And that's probably something that maybe people don't understand, but That'll kind of help them understand why this is going in front of the county board and not the town council. What kind of feedback or support have you gotten, Stephen, from the town council? Because really, it is in their backyard, even though it's a piece of county property. Are they all for that?
Well, the town council, certainly some of the previous council members were big supporters of ours. I know Joanne is a supporter of ours, and certainly some of the other ones are interested in protecting the history of Fort Myers Beach, which is quickly disappearing. And that's what this is all about. It's about, saving some stones that were part of our history and part of the town's earliest history. And it's pretty nostalgic for some people, especially those of us that grew up between the 20s and 70s on the beach,
So, Stephen, how much money have you raised for the Arches and all the time that you've been working on Save the Arches?
Yeah, I don't have that figure in front of me. We just paid $1,600 off to engineers. That was all publicly raised. We paid to thousands of dollars to have the stones removed from 40 years worth of fill. They were thrown in the yard of the man that removed them 40 years ago. The remains of the arches were, and our group went out there and kind of dug them out of the ground with heavy equipment, and had the University of South Florida come down and do 3D CAD imaging, and all that was paid for by our group. Lawrence Kremai was a huge contributor to that project, financially and with labor. So our volunteers do a lot of work and a lot of fundraising. Last year we made $1,900 at Rock the Arches. We made $300 at Scoop the Arches. We have a donation button on our webpage. People are free to go there. We have a Wells Fargo bank account. People are free to donate there. But we do pretty good with our Rock the Arches, and that one's coming up in April. And that's going to be a huge fundraiser for us. Now, if Cecil's motion does go through, our fundraising will go towards signage and maybe plants. We talked about putting a wall between the cars and the arches, because they're talking about putting it on the parking lot side of the park now. Maybe get Jan Ellen, the one who painted the arches in the Fort Myers Beach Council chambers, to paint a picture of the swing bridge behind it or something.
So, Stephen, the arches, when they were knocked down, now, I'm not a history buff here. Were they knocked down to build the bridge, or were they knocked down?
Yes.
Okay, they were knocked down to build the bigger bridge, but all the pieces weren't saved, correct? People were running off with pieces, and the pieces were destroyed. So you don't have all of the arches, right?
No, we have 19 stones ranging from 2,000 pounds to 10,000 pounds. Some of those are face stones. Some of those are roof stones that were over the walking platform. And some of them are not very decorative, but we're trying to conserve that material to kind of bridge that history. It's all about saving history. The arches, when Tom Phillips, the developer, pretty much developed the island, he built the first casino, he built the first canal behind Crescent Street. He put the first wooden bridge in 1914. There was 9 property owners on Fort Myers Beach, and 4 houses. One of the houses still exists on Bay Street as part of the Historical Society. 12 years later, in 1926, the island was pretty much destroyed by a hurricane that created San Carlos Island, which was actually named after Tom Phillips' housing development that he built the arches for. The arches weren't built as an entrance to Fort Myers Beach. They were built as an entrance to his housing development called San Carlos on the Gulf.
Right.
Now, once the original route to Fort Myers Beach was destroyed, which was from Bungee Beach on a strip of land down them in Kansas Pass. That was all destroyed by that hurricane. Tom Phillips, who was charging 50 cents a car for pretty much Model Ts to go across his wooden bridge, made his fortune that way.
I thought it was 54 cents, but
50 cents a piece for Model Ts. And he went over out of his own pocket, procured a used bridge in 1924. So you can probably assume that it was used by horse and buggy.
I love that.
That was the swing bridge.
Yeah.
That was a swing bridge that was there for 55 years, over half a century. Now, when he put his swing bridge in, he aligned it to the entrance to his housing area through the arches. And the planners of that era, they built bridges over Wayne Pass is now. That was created by that hurricane of 1926. They put a bridge over that. Built San Carlos Boulevard through the arches, through the swing bridge to the island. For the first 40 years, you had to drive through the arches to get to the beach because there was no bridge on the south end of the island. And then they built that Bonita Bridge, the Bonita Beach Bridge down there. I can't remember the name of the pass right now.
So, Stephen,
they built that down there.
Let me ask you this.
Unknown caller.
Let me ask you this. What makes Crescent Beach or the park over there, what makes that the perfect spot for this?
It's a compromise. You know, our group always wanted to put them back over the road, bigger than they were before, on San Carlos Island, and we wanted to control the traffic with the arches and speed controls. Now, FDOT has the idea of putting up stoplights on San Carlos Island, and some of us think that's going to be a nightmare. And they would never look at our project without Lee County directing it. So we never got that official look at our project from FDOT. So as a compromise, we went to Crescent Beach Family Park. That idea was originally brought up by Larry Kiker.
Okay.
And we wanted to kind of honor Larry Kiker by putting him in there. And he was a big part of this town. And
right.
He was helping us try to get it done before Cecil. Once Larry passed, I think it was Cecil trying to do something that Larry tried to start, and he's been a great asset to our project for sure, and we hope that we have enough votes in the council to pass that and save that history.
So, Stephen, let me ask you this: what kind of monkey wrench do you think the letter to the news press from Fran and AJ Bassett and Lee is going to throw into all this? They don't seem to be in favor of it. They're longtime residents, some of the longest residents they've been here for quite a long time, and seen the history and may have even seen, I don't want to say how old they are, but they may have even seen the arches when they were up back then, and they just seem opposed to it, and they have a pretty strong voice. Do you think that's going to cause this to either delay or maybe even stop it?
Well, everybody's got their opinion, and this is a free country, and they're able to voice it. 90% of those polled in the Observer said they wanted 100% replica of the arches in Crescent Beach Park. Over 90% in our group, when we created the same poll, they wanted 100% replica of the arches in the park. We've compromised. We've moved it to a location that doesn't obscure any of the view of the Gulf. We've also compromised by making them a 60% replica of what they were in planning. I can certainly hope that they can appreciate that we're trying to conserve our history and bring back some of our nostalgia that they, I'm sure, enjoyed as they drove through the arches every day if they were here back then. all I can say is there's some people in Athens, I'm sure, that didn't want to rebuild the Acropolis that was destroyed 2,000 years ago, but they're doing it because it was part of their history.
One of the things AJ did say to me was she suggested, speaking of the history, that the Historical Society area would be a great place for it. But was that ever considered?
Yes, it was. Yeah, well, we couldn't get Fort Myers Beach to approve.
Okay.
Giving us that. Actually, Anita said that she had too much on her plate to try to tackle that. And I know Ray and Joanne and some of the other people there were looking for a place that they thought that they could accommodate us, but it never came about. But so right now, we're going with what's available to us to be able to conserve this history, and what's available to us is Crescent Beach Family Park. We've been trying for 3 years to find a place for them. It would have been nice for Bassett and those that didn't want them on the beach to help us find a location. But nothing was ever brought to our attention as a substitute or another place.
Gotcha.
We've actually asked some of the rich property owners in the area. We've asked Torgensen, we've asked some of the other people in the area that if they wanted a free historic arch put on their property, and we never got any feedback back from any of them.
So the next important meeting is this week, coming up with the Lee County Commissioners, correct, on the 4th?
Woohoo! Yeah, if you're a supporter, wear your sky blue T-shirts. That's our colors. We certainly have Rock the Arches T-shirts available on our webpage. Our group makes about $5 a piece for every T-shirt that we sell, but it's a moving billboard for us. So wear your blue T-shirts, and if you want to talk to the council, by all means, fill out a card and go and talk to them.
All right.
If you're opposed, and you have ideas to make our project better, go in and voice those opinions. We're all about trying. Our group is a community group. It's been a community group. I would have encouraged Bassett and anybody who was against or anti-Archer to join our community group and give us input.
All right. All right, Stephen, thanks so much for your time, man. Good luck this week at the county commissioners, and we'll keep an eye on it and talk about it again next week when we have Lee on the show. Lee's coming on to talk about that and also about Bay Oak, so I'm sure we'll chat about it. So thanks a lot and good luck.
All right, let's rock those arches.
Take care. Take care. Stephen Ray McDonald from Save the Arches, and the plan is for now for the county commissioners to consider putting the arches, so what's left of the arches, and rebuild them in the Crescent Park, which is where the volleyball courts are, right about, I don't know, half a mile from here, maybe not even that far, where they play volleyball. So we'll keep you up to date on that next week or maybe during the week on the Facebook page. Oh, by the way, you may have noticed that it's a one-man show today, that Kim's not here, so let me explain why. During the week or after the show last week, she got so upset about my discussion of one issue and my harping on one issue that it just went on and on and on for the entire week, and then she quit the show. So it's a one-man show now, and all because we couldn't agree over one issue. Just kidding. She has a flu. She's at home and she has the flu, so she'll be back hopefully next week. Just wanted to throw that out there because I know nobody would watch it with just me. But, no, she has the flu right now, so she's at home sleeping it off and hopefully be back as good as new next week. Shuckers at the Gulf Shore and the Cottage Bar is one of our sponsors, located just a few steps down from the pier, heading south directly on the beach. Shuckers Restaurant opens daily at 8 a.m. and closes at midnight, serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and a late-night menu. They also have happy hour Monday through Friday, 3 to 6, featuring discounted liquor, domestic and imported bottled beers, draft beer, classic food. Shuckers open-air restaurant features a live solo artist between 4 and 7 and a full band between 8 and midnight in their famous Cottage Bar. They are very trendy. on the beach here. They're doing lots of upgrades, so we hope you'll stop by. Not only Peach Time Out, Shuckers, we hope you'll stop by Shuckers, the Gulf Shore, and the Cottage Bar. They've been proudly serving Fort Myers Beach and the community since 1921. Who knows if the arches were even up back in 1921, but we hope you'll see them. We hope you stop by and see our friends when the tiki boats are ready, FMB Designs and Remodeling, and also sponsoring our Facebooks, the Salty Dog folks down the street. Carla, we appreciate everything you guys do, and we will be back together next week. Oh, we have another great lineup next week. We have Lee is going to come on. Lee and Ray Sproul. They're going to talk about Bay Oaks. Lots of great stuff going on at Bay Oaks, so we want to let everybody know about what's there. And back by popular demand, the dynamic duo of Gail Crabtree and Ellen Vaughn. They'll be back to tell us about some great events coming up later on in the year. We can't wait to see them. If you remember, Gail and Ellen, they helped fill in when Kim was on her vacation last year when we were at the Taste of Fort Myers Beach. So they're going to be coming on together next week. They're always very fun and very funny. So we will see you 1 week from today. Thank you all. Thanks to all our guests and our sponsors. And you all have a great weekend wherever you are in this cold USA. It's not cold down here. It's beautiful. Bye-bye.